The evening of my wife's office party, I went along purely to support her. Sarah had been buzzing about it for weeks, an important networking event packed with executives and colleagues from her marketing firm. I wasn't familiar with most of them, and honestly, I preferred it that way. I dressed neatly, kept a calm presence, and decided my role was to stand quietly in her corner while she enjoyed the spotlight. This was her night, not mine. As soon as we stepped inside, the sound of music and overlapping conversations filled the room. Sarah guided me around, introducing me to a handful of people, most of them courteous, sticking to harmless small talk. Then came Daniel. He was tall, overly confident, and wore the kind of smirk people get when they believe they're the smartest man in the room. His handshake was firm enough to suggest he was trying to prove something. "So you're Sarah's husband?" he asked, looking at me like I didn't belong in his exclusive circle. I gave a polite nod, keeping my tone neutral. "That's right." His eyes scanned me up and down, and he smirked. "Must be nice, not having to stress about work while your wife's busy making moves up the ladder." The jab was subtle, but the arrogance behind it was clear. I felt Sarah stiffen slightly beside me. I just offered a small smile and let it go. Men like him weren't new to me. But Daniel wasn't finished. Over the next half hour, he slipped in more barbed comments, jokes about how I must have married above my weight, remarks suggesting Sarah should be with someone more ambitious, and little digs about how I couldn't possibly understand the pressure of a high-stakes career. The people nearby chuckled uneasily, clearly picking up on the tension but too polite to step in. Sarah kept trying to steer the conversation elsewhere, yet Daniel found ways to circle it back, almost like he was baiting me. Then he crossed the line. With a drink in hand, he leaned closer and said, "You know, in a room like this, it's survival of the fittest. Some people just fade into the background." His words dripped with challenge, and his quick glance toward Sarah told me he was testing her reaction as much as mine. I calmly set my glass down and looked him directly in the eye. "You're right, Daniel. Not everyone can handle competitive environments. But here's the thing, I've spent the last 10 years thriving in one far more ruthless than this." He tilted his head, pretending to be curious. "Oh yeah? Doing what?" My voice stayed steady. "Special Forces. A decade of deployments overseas. After that, private security for high-profile clients. My career has been about outthinking, outmaneuvering, and outperforming people whose only goal was to end me. So you'll have to excuse me if I'm not too impressed by office politics." The grin slipped from his face. The atmosphere shifted in an instant. For a moment, silence hung between us until someone at the table gave an awkward laugh. Daniel mumbled something about just joking and dropped his gaze, suddenly fascinated with his glass. Sarah squeezed my hand under the table, a quiet thank you for keeping calm. For the rest of the evening, Daniel kept his distance. When we did cross paths again, his tone had changed completely, polite, even cautious. Other guests began showing more interest in me, asking questions about my work and travels. I kept my responses vague. I hadn't come to boast. I simply reminded one man that appearances can be misleading. Later, as Sarah and I walked to the car, she chuckled softly. "You didn't have to tell him all that," she said. I grinned at her. I didn't tell him everything. Just enough. On the drive home, I reflected on how quickly people make assumptions based on surface impressions. Daniel had seen an ordinary man at his colleague's side. What he never understood until that night was that the most formidable people in any room are usually the ones who don't need to prove it. From then on, according to Sarah, Daniel treated me with a level of politeness that bordered on careful respect. At future office gatherings, he avoided any snide remarks and gave me a wide berth. I never held any bitterness toward him, but I know he never forgot the moment he realized he had no idea who I truly was.